You're listening to The Flickcast, a podcast about stuff nerds love. I am Chris Ulrich, and joining me, of course, my co-host, Mr. Joe Dilworth. Joe, hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited because there's a lot of stuff happening in entertainment. And again, I realize, I don't know, do I have to put the world in context? The world is having problems, but we're still going to talk about our stupid nerd stuff today because that's what we do.
Yeah, I
you
don't
know,
think we need to
it's okay to
because,
it's okay to enjoy
it's all right.
things, even if
Yes.
other things are happening. So on today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about Picard season 2. We're going to talk about the new some I Am Legend news, which is kind of interesting, and
Yeah,
maybe
surprising, but
maybe
good.
surprising but good, and maybe there'll be some stuff about some other movies that are coming up and other nerdy things that will happen. We'll also have some picks, but let's jump into Picard because this new season is pretty cool so far, man. What do you
Wow,
think?
yes.
Yeah.
Man, that
Oh,
was
and
a
sorry,
great
spoilers.
opening episode. Oh, yes.
Spoilers, of course, if you haven't seen Picard season 2, episode 1. And I'm happy to know that it seems like our prediction is at least partially true because that's what Q actually said the line. Oh, I'm sorry. John Delancey actually in Q actually said the line. The trial continues, Picard, So we knew it. We knew it was going to
Yes.
happen. So that was good.
Yes.
What's up
Yeah,
with you about that?
so I liked it a lot. And what one aspect that I really enjoyed was so a lot of times between seasons, and sometimes it's because the new season picks up like moments after the previous one ended. This one does not. It takes place about a year and a half after the previous season. But even then, a lot of times, characters seem to be frozen in amber between seasons. So
Hmm.
not much. There might be like one or two things going on, but this is like it feels like there's like two seasons that happened between the first one and this one because there's a lot of stuff has changed for our characters and a lot of stuff has
Yeah, I
gone
was surprised.
on.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that a lot of them went back to Starfleet and are
Yeah, yeah.
serving on ships and stuff, which was interesting. And and but I mean, what are you going to do, right? I mean, Seven is out doing her thing, and then the other guy's like, I'm going to go back to be a captain of a starship, uh, the Stargazer, and I'm going to smoke a cigar on the bridge. I thought was kind of funny because
Yeah,
I can't. I mean, why not, right? I mean, there's probably it's
yeah.
probably like a synthetic cigar, which doesn't do anything. But yeah, a lot of cool
Well,
things, and you do
yeah.
catch up with people, which I thought was really interesting. So
I guess I like the fact that it wasn't like, well, we've spent the last few months going around in the La Serena having adventures together. It was like, no, they moved on with their lives, and
yeah,
now there's a reason for them. Well, I'm assuming so, but they obviously cross paths, and there's a reason that they're all kind of coming back together. And I don't know, I just like that. It seemed uh, a different approach to take, and I appreciated it. So
although you could make the case that whole reality that not to get too deep, but that whole reality that happens in the first episode is not real because
well, that's true.
at the end of the first episode you see what happens, right? And then that's the end, and then it's like, well, is that's one possible future, but maybe they aren't really like that. Maybe that's, who knows. Whenever you throw Q in the mix, then anything's possible, which I think is the one reason they do it. But it's just I was I was like, oh, really? They're going to bring Q back, the Deus Ex Q or whatever it is. But I
Right,
kind
right.
of like I can't help but like John Delancey, so it's like, oh, good. And now someone's going to explain what's happening. But it looks interesting. I'm a little I don't know what the word is. I feel like they're kind of whenever a show that's ostensibly set in space goes the route of we're going to have this be in sort of semi-modern Los Angeles.
Right,
I I
right.
al- I wor- I'm like, okay, I get it. It's an expensive show, but that's kind of like, why are we doing this? Because then you have like, you know,
Well, we'll find
Seven
out.
driving the police car and doing the car chase, and I mean, I'm fine with. I'll follow the journey, of course, and I will watch
Yes.
the show absolutely. Because I like the characters, especially obviously Patrick Stewart as Picard. But so why is all this happening? I don't know. It'll be cool to see. Um, and it's also nice to see Picard almost human at some point, and like maybe get a girl for once.
Right.
But
Yeah, that was
but
kind of
then
interesting
screw it
playing up
up.
the romantic. Yeah, the romantic aspect. And they actually, he and Guinan, well, she does, has a pointed discussion about why, they didn't mention Beverly Crusher, which is annoying because they seem to be kind of leaving the series as kind of some kind of romance going on. But maybe that feeds into it later. But concentrating on you're 97. How come you've been alone this whole time? And um, it's I don't know. I think they're really exploring aspects of the character that have always kind of been there. It's like, why is he so driven for his career? Why has he been alone? Why wouldn't he have
Well,
had a
yeah,
family?
what
And
happened? What happened to him? I mean,
yeah,
they have some kind of weird flashback thing, which I didn't quite understand. I'm gonna have to
with
watch it
his
again
mom.
and see what that with his mom and some other stuff. Like,
Yeah,
was his mom kidnapped or murdered or something? I don't know
yeah,
what
I
the heck was
know.
happening there. It was kind of weird, but she's like, "Look at the star. Always look up, Jean Luc, and all that." So maybe, I mean, it's the same as Kirk, right? I mean, captains, have to devote their time. They're in love with their ships, right? He's in love with the Enterprise. That's his
Yeah, but
great love.
Riker
Not it's not.
had a family on his ship. I
Yeah, but
mean, he went off.
Riker's
You
not the
know,
cap. Riker's not the
he
captain, man.
yeah,
Riker's
but
just
he went on
number
to be
one.
captain of
So,
his own ship and had a family. You know.
well, I mean, maybe Picard is secretly gay. I don't know. It's just why have you never found a woman? Because I like dudes. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And that's the thing. I'm sure one of the reasons that Patrick Stewart was like, I'll do this show because now we can explore these things about Picard. Because
Right,
in an ensemble show like Next Generation, it's like, yeah, we'll get into Picard's backstory a lot, but not a lot, because
right,
we're looking
right.
forward. So this is all about him. But obviously something happened to him where he doesn't want to commit. I mean, maybe he's like, I think of Picard as like James Bond, and like I just want women that are not available. I don't want any commitments. He likes married ladies. He likes whatever, and so his first love is Starfleet. His first love is service. His first love is space, and it's not ever going to change. And maybe it will, and maybe it won't. But not everybody. Maybe they're trying to make the case that not everybody needs to couple up and have a regular relationship. Maybe it's like Picard is
That's
one of those
true.
people that exists for different reasons. That's although Guinan's like that space is not your thing. Let's explore this final frontier of you having sex with Romulans. So I don't know what's happening there. So,
That's
but again, that's what I like about Star Trek. Is like it's not all explained immediately, and this
right, right. It's
obviously
the
is a great way
journey.
to start a new.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great way to start a new season because you know shit goes south quickly, and at the end of this episode, you're like, huh, wow, that was interesting.
Well, and
Everyone's
the first
dead.
episode, in a right way, sets up a whole lot of questions. And
Hmm.
so I know, I've seen people online. They're like, you know, why this and why that? I'm like, well, the show asked that, and there are more episodes. So maybe we'll find out
Yeah,
if you keep watching, or if everything wasn't explained to you in the first 5 minutes. Maybe you shouldn't watch the show. So,
right.
you know,
Maybe you shouldn't
but
want. Yeah,
yeah,
if you want everything, people have a short attention span. I like to have all my answers now.
right. But it was lots of really cool callbacks, like the book
Hmm.
written by Spock that he gives Elnor, who's the first full Romulan in
Yeah,
Starfleet Academy, which is
yeah,
great, and a couple ship callbacks. Rios is the captain of the new Stargazer, which was Picard's first command. I don't know. It's just a lot of really really cool callbacks that
yeah. I
were
like the fact
great.
that Santiago Cabrera plays Rios, but also plays the hologram in his native Spanish. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
she disengages the part of the safety. He beats the crap out of people. He's like, yes, I feel much better. He's like, I'm gonna.
yeah, yeah. That was
He's
pretty
obviously having
awesome.
fun. He's obviously having fun with that. I'm happy to see Seven. I like Jerry Ryan. I'm happy to see her back again. It'll be interesting
Yes.
to see what happens with her. According to the trailer for the rest of the season, she has some point where she's not Borg apparently.
Right.
So
Right.
that will be interesting. And Guinan made an interesting point about that. She does talk about the Borg, which I knew when she said something about that, but she doesn't say it specifically. She's like, death is not the worst thing, and you of all people should understand that, of course.
Right.
And then I knew
Right.
it was like, oh, they're bringing back the Borg. I bet you, and they did.
Well, as
Um,
soon as that space rift happened and it was like that green energy,
yeah, you're like, that's the Borg, obviously.
Melanie was like, "Oh, the Borg," and the
Yeah.
fact that everybody else in the show was like, "What's this?" It's like, "Oh, come on, it's the Borg.
Don't you
Come
ever
on,
watch Star
folks."
Trek, people?
Yeah, really. Did you ever not watch your past? Did you ever not look at your previous captain logs? Come on.
Come on. Well,
So
I thought it was telling that Seven was so bent on destroying them. She's like, these guys got to be killed because she knows, and Picard too. should understand that. But he was like being cautious and being more introspective, whereas she was like, just phaser the shit out of him. So
Right. Well,
anyway,
obviously, not just because of that there's more episodes and the Borg are in it. There's something, even though everyone was annihilated, there's something else going on because, I mean, they pointed out the fact that the Borg Queen was just stunning people and not killing them.
hmm
And she seemed to kind of galvanize everything that happens afterwards because of what, wiping her. I don't know. So there's obviously more going on again, uh, setting up questions. But yeah, no, it was really good. I thought it had the right amount of action, intrigue, and definitely set things up for the rest of the season and probably for maybe the rest of the series since they just finished shooting the third season, which is supposed to be the last. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I'm on board. I thought it was great.
well, the other thing to keep in mind too, and I wonder if they'll explore more of this. And I had forgotten this until like after I watched the episode. I realized that Picard actually is now a synthetic, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So it's. I wonder if they'll explore that because it's his consciousness, but it's not his body, right? So is he still the same person? I don't know. What is the nature of
yeah.
humanity, Joe? I don't know.
Well, and
Um,
so I think one important thing to note is now that it's his consciousness, but he's in a synthetic body. He didn't
yeah,
hear like any whispers from the Borg or anything like that, like he used to. And he did in the first season, kind of heard whispers here
right.
and there, but he didn't hear any of that
Well,
when
these are
they were
different. These are
encountering the
different,
anomaly. So,
but they're different Borg. Maybe they don't do that. But they were still looking for Picard.
yes. I
I
like
just think this whole
the
thing was.
ruse of wanting to join the Federation. That was pretty great.
Well, maybe they still want to join the Federation. I mean, we don't
Maybe.
really know. In
Maybe.
fact, the truth is that this is probably all Q's doing anyway. So
Could
those
be.
probably weren't even Borg. That probably wasn't even anything. It was nothing. It's like I just want to get Picard's attention, and they're not. The
No,
Borg
I
is
think
something that
that
will get his.
happened.
No, the Borg is something that will get his attention,
Oh,
right?
okay. I
So
do. I also liked. We have to mention really quick that because from the trailer, seeing Q older, it's like he's an immortal being. Why would he be older? And they totally explained that in like 2 seconds. It was like, oh,
well,
that's
because that would
great.
be
That
like the
works.
first question that the nerds would ask, like, why is he looking the
Right.
same?
Yeah.
Oh, we've caught up. Ching, I mean,
Yeah.
they had to
That
do it.
was
Yeah,
pretty great.
it was. Well,
Yeah.
and you have to explain those kind of things. I think maybe you don't
Yes.
have to, but people are going to ask. So why not just explain it and be done?
And you can do it like that, like
Anyway,
a hand wavy thing in 2 seconds. So
yeah,
why not do it?
like they did. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
throwaway. I love Picard's like, God damn you, Q. God, it's like
It's like
I will kill you if I
f-
wasn't 100 years old.
yeah, and you aren't immortal, but God,
Picard's like, fucking quit, man.
not again.
Not again. The trial is.
Yeah.
I thought we figured this shit out at the end of the season of.
I was there. I
I don't
watched
know.
the episode. It was all figured out, and now you're
It was all
back.
handled. I
And
thought we finished this bullshit. God damn you, Q. God damn you. We have to tell him the truth. Oh wait, that's a different show.
yeah, that's
Anyway,
different. Yeah,
I love Patrick Stewart, so I don't really care. The show could just be Patrick Stewart lecturing at the academy, or Picard just like sitting there reading a book and drinking wine. I love the wine montage too. I'm like, this is super fun. Watching him look at the label, he's like, "Walking on sunshine." That's the song that was playing in my head when he
yeah.
was out there. It sure feels good. Do, 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 do. He's like looking at the
I like
wine,
the
chasing the grapes, and all that shit.
I like
So
the
funny.
harvesters transporting the grapes
Yeah.
into the barrels. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So
Oh, and his I'm gonna call her his girlfriend. His girlfriend, Laris, was like, even in the world of transporters, you're still late.
yeah,
I love that. It was pretty
exactly.
fun. He's a synthetic, superhuman sort of gigantic hero to the Federation. Yet he's like a bumbling old man. Where's that book? I can't find it. He's like, it's right here, dummy. You know.
Yeah, I think Harry and
So he
Laris
really,
will end up at the end of the show, at the very end up together if they're not together in the third season, because he'll be like, I mean, she's kind of because of those scenes, she's kind of perfect for him, right? So,
well, she is, but I feel like she's like, I'm not gonna wait. Although they did explain it interestingly because she was with the other guy,
right,
and it's like Romulans love hard, and then when we move on, and now I'm in love with you, and
right,
which I thought was pretty cool. Um, but it was funny that Picard didn't see it in a way. He's like he didn't. It's almost like he didn't imagine someone. Maybe he just feels like he doesn't deserve it, And
Well,
he's
that
always
could
had
be
a death
too.
wish, or he's like always felt unworthy, and his only way of being worthy is to go out there and risk his life for
Right.
humanity. I mean, Guinan kind of touches on that a little bit. It's like, why do you only have to risk your bones? It's like you could.
Yeah.
And she did say bones, which I thought was interesting. Called back to bones too. But anyway,
Exactly.
um, and I like how they've updated Alison Pill's character. It's like, yeah, I was accused of murder, but I'm good now, and they end up bringing everybody up to date, and
Yeah.
it's being done well. And I also am happy that the second season is also they were filming the third season kind of around the same time, so there's already going to be a third season. So this isn't the
Yeah.
end for Picard, although I think it'll just be
Yes.
3 and done probably. But
Yeah,
because
I
Patrick
could get
Stewart's
that. I
probably
mean,
like, I
they've
don't
been
know.
saying, "Oh, well, we'll see. Maybe there'll be more," but I'm okay with it being 3 seasons.
If it tells a complete story, then yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
every show doesn't have to go 10 years. I mean, it's totally fine. Um,
And I hate to say this, but so there's been some points in the show, especially in this episode, I'm like, God, Patrick Stewart, just
is
don't
old.
fall down, don't break a
Yeah.
hip, because you see him, he's like leaning on stuff, like he's giving that speech at the academy, he's like leaning on the podium. I'm like, maybe he can't stand up all the time. I felt so bad.
Right.
Maybe he can keep playing Professor X because he's in a wheelchair. He doesn't have to stand up. But
I would
I'm worried about
say
him.
even if Picard the series ends after 3 seasons, I would suspect that they could easily develop other shows that take place in the same time frame,
Well,
like
they could just keep on going with Picard legacy, and
Rios.
he could just be the voice of the computer or something like that.
Yeah,
His
they could have
consciousness goes into
Rios
the
be
ship.
on the adventures of the Stargazer, and or
Yeah, I would totally
whatever.
watch
But
that. So, Rios is a
yeah,
good character. I like him. I like them all. They could all get together.
yeah,
Um, the only one I didn't really gel with was Rocky, but I kind of like her now too. I don't know why, and I wasn't a huge
I
fan of the androids. I don't know. She's gotten better as an actress. To Asa Briones has gotten better as an actress. So
yeah
I would
I
watch.
I like Raffi from the beginning because I like the actress playing her. She's been in a bunch of other things that I've liked, so I was
Yeah,
very
I
happy she
never
was going
have.
to be
That's
part of
why
this. So, um,
they could
but
just get.
yeah,
They should just get. I mean, because Patrick Stewart's like 80 something now, right? So he's not going to do TV for too much longer. So, but he
they
still
should
looks fit.
just
You know.
they should they could continue the show, and he could be like the host or one of the bartenders at Guinan's bar. I would watch a show that would just set in Guinan's bar, 10 forward.
Oh, that's
That
funny.
would be
People
great.
characters just come to him for advice, and then we
Yeah.
need the hooch. They get out the Saurian brandy, which I thought was a great. It's even in the holder from the original series. I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I'm a nerd, so what? Um,
Yes.
the fact that I know that they pull it out and then they drink the cheap shit, which I thought was
Yeah.
great. Although it's probably not cheap shit, but but Carr doesn't seem drunk though, because in the world of Synthahol, where no one gets drunk, right? They got to get all the
Right.
good
Right.
stuff and they get wasted. Guinan we should totally get wasted, and she's like pounding the shots,
Yeah.
shots. Okay,
Exactly.
Guinan's
No,
dancing on tables and shit. So anyway,
that should be the first Star Trek live action sitcom. Is like it's just
it's
called
like
Guinan's.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Guinan's,
Exactly.
when everyone knows your name, it gets into your business. I like
Where
that.
ev-
10,
where the
10 2 forward, maybe.
where the bartender knows your name and of all your ancestors because she's probably hung out with them. So
She's an
because she's
immortal.
long
Yeah,
lived.
she's like,
Yeah.
and they also have to talk about Guinan too. And she made a good point. It's like humans don't like it when you look young all the time,
Yeah.
which they actually brought up in what was that movie? In Eternals, they were talking about how the
Yes.
girl who was always looking like a teenager, and he's like, I can't live with I can't have you staying the same age all the time. We have to keep moving around all the time. I always felt bad for that character, and I also felt bad for Kristen Dunst's character in Interview with the Vampire because she always looked like a little girl, even though she was
I
a
know.
couple hundred years
Yeah.
old as a vampire. That must suck.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a
Exactly.
total aside, but yeah, I'm totally invested in Picard already. Not that I wasn't, but I'm excited for the season. It's going to be great, and I'm sure we'll bring it up again. In fact, we'll probably just talk about it every week, maybe. Who knows?
Sure. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Are you okay with that? Anything else you want to talk about Star Trek, or should we go on to? I wanted to talk about some news that came out recently.
Yeah, I know you're. I was just going to mention really quick that we haven't talked about Discovery season 4 lately, but it's been really good too. But we can talk. We should do a recap of Discovery at the end of the season. But
We should talk about Discovery. Yeah, I don't like the fact that they broke the season into two parts. That annoyed me. But yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. I like the thing that Book and they're kind of at odds with each other, which I thought was cool because
yeah,
they seem so happy, and he's kind of like, I got to do my thing. Um, and it's good that there's conflict. I wonder if he'll stay on the show after this season. I kind of feel like he's not gonna, but
I kind
maybe.
of yeah, me too. But yeah, no, you're right. I do like that there are two sides of how to solve this thing that is killing billions of people, and in the best Star Trek fashion, too. Neither side is right or wrong, right? I mean, it's like
Right.
both sides are doing what they feel is right and the best way to solve the conflict, and it puts them at odds. But not. I don't know. It's just. I think it's really well written and would be written not as well on a different show, if that makes any sense. But it's just
No,
I
it does.
like
It does make
I
sense.
like how they're doing it. So
Yeah, I do. I wonder if Burnham and I just feel like that Book is a character who's only going to be on. And you're right. You made a good point. It's like, yeah, how do we solve this problem? Neither one of them are wrong. Neither one are more right. It's like there's definitely more than one way. And in Star Trek fashion, they're not fighting about it. They
right.
still wanna they still wanna kind of stay together. Um, but she doesn't have a great track record with relationships, as it turns out. So I'm wondering if something will happen. I mean, he'll probably go off and do his own thing. Maybe he'll recur. I mean, maybe he'll stay on the show. I don't know, but
Or he ends up joining Starfleet. Who knows? But
he could join Starfleet. Yeah, I mean, he's independent, but he loves Burnham, so maybe
yeah,
he'll come back. I
I
don't know.
mean,
I just wonder.
even even Sean Doyle's character Tarka, they've like he's at first you're like this guy is just an asshole and he's going to get
Yeah,
everyone killed, but
I love
then
Sean Doyle, man. He's so good.
yeah, but then you find out his backstory and reason for this, and it's like, well, well, crap, he's not wrong, and I see why he's trying to do what he's trying to do, and he's not like I know it can be viewed that well he's selfish, he just wants the power supply so he can go find his boyfriend, and it's like he's also interested in saving everybody as well, right? So it's like it's a twofer for him. So
Do you think it's his boyfriend, or I just feel like he had been isolated for so long that was like the first time he ever had any connection with anybody. I don't know that they had a romantic kind of deal
I feel like they
necessarily, but
kind
maybe
of
they
did.
did.
I mean, I
I mean, they
think
were
there's
looking,
a
laying next to each other, pointing at the stars or whatever, doing their math together, but they never, I don't know. I don't know.
maybe not romantic, but it's a much stronger bond than friendship, like family, I guess. And I mean, I
Yeah.
although I mean, there's something pretty romantic about I'm willing to destroy these all powerful beings to get their powers, so I can go to another universe for this one person that I can't be away from
Well,
anymore. You know,
I guess that's true. I guess that's true. Well, I feel like it was the first time in his life that he ever connected with anyone
right?
in any kind of personal way. He's like, in a lot of ways, like Star Trek explores this thing where you put aside your personal feelings to explore and to serve mankind or humanity or the greater good, not just humanity, obviously, because there's other races. But so he's the same kind of person. He's devoted to science. So obviously, there's something in his backstory which
Yeah,
made him devote his life to science instead of devoting his life to family or whatever. Because as far as I know, he never mentions any family relationships or anything. Um,
true. Yeah.
but when you first meet him, you can realize maybe why he's such a dick because all of this happened to him in the past, and now he's still living with that. So this has always been something that's simmering in the back of his mind and driving him to do everything. Really, if you think about it, which is why I like the character a lot, and I like Sean Doyle. I think he does a great job. They have a really good relationship. Him, but maybe he and Book will go off together.
Well, see,
I don't
that's
know.
what I think is he against his um, better judgment. I think he's connecting with Book in a similar way, maybe not romantically necessarily, but I think he is like I think he looks at Book as a friend because like in the episode where Book's like, hey, I'm going to drop you off on this planet because you pissed me off. He seems
Hmm.
he fights against that, but it seems like not just because I need to achieve my objective, but he kind of likes the guy against his better, nature. And so, yeah, I think maybe that is the ultimate thing. It's like, well, I can't. It turns out either Oris is, gone or dead or whatever, or he never is able to go to the alternate universe because he sides with Book and Burnham and everybody to do
Mm-hmm.
the better thing. And then at the end, he's like, well, Book's like, hey, I'll help you find a way back home. And he's like, okay. And they go off together kind of thing. Or
Maybe, yeah,
I'm
because
already
the search.
home.
Oh yeah, home was where. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, I mean, because Book has nobody, right? He's got Burnham, but he's got nothing
Yeah.
else. His whole entire
He's
planet
got
was
Grudge.
destroyed.
He's got his cat. So.
Well, that's true, but Grudge is not a substitute for
Yeah,
whatever.
I
But
know. I know.
I think he takes care. Well, he's a nurturing soul. He's a nurturer, and the
I
fact that
think
he's
Grudge
been.
takes care of him. I don't think.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
I think
Yeah.
he's her pet, not the other way around.
I think you're.
So,
I think you're probably right. But I can see him having that exact, because I think you're right. I think Oris is going to be someone that he's going to go off with him and say, we're going to keep the search continues to try to save
yes.
this person because but I'll pop in occasionally, Michael, occasionally, and just chill with you
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever, because Michael can't have a relationship with somebody on an ongoing basis because it affects her command. It totally affects her. So how can it not? So I think as great as their relationship is, I think that he'll have to leave and go off and try to help.
Yeah.
Because if I can't save my people, but I can try to save this person, kind of thing.
Yeah. Because I
So
think
that's my.
Tarka. I think Tarka is learning to be a better person from Book and
See,
also
we're talking
observing.
about Star Trek anyway. We're talking about
I
Discovery
know.
anyway. So there we go.
I think he's learning to become a better person from Book and observing Burnham, and it's going to come down to where
Yeah.
he's like, I can't. You're right. This is the better way, and I can't do this. And
Right.
Book's like, hey, don't worry, I'll help you. We'll figure it
I'll
out.
help you. Yeah.
So
Because I got this cool ship and I got a cat, so we're good.
yeah, it'll
else
be
do I
fine.
need?
We'll figure it out. Yeah. So
Right, and they could keep coming back, and but yeah, I would see they're kind of building up Tarka a lot more than they were, and maybe that was the intent all along. But maybe he had a good response or whatever. But I feel like they're building it up to something because they're spending a lot of time giving his back. I mean, not every character gets flashbacks like that, right?
right,
I mean,
right.
that was a big part. That was a big part of one of the most recent episodes where they spent a lot of time developing this relationship and explaining why Tarka is the way he is, and so they don't do that for just characters are going to disappear. I think that
Yeah.
they're building up to something, because that's you always need a crazy scientist character who knows shit and is willing to go the extra mile when everybody else wants. I like the fact that he's different than Starfleet people because he's willing to take more risks
Yes.
to solve his goals. Like Riker was always like a hothead. Like I'm gonna go to the planet and fuck some girls and and kick somebody's ass. And Picard's like, wait a minute, number one.
It's like, whoa, maybe we don't do that.
Whoa.
So.
Maybe tone it down a bit, number one. But that was the whole point. That was the whole point of Riker. Riker was the action guy, right? Because you don't send the
Right.
captain down to do everything, right? So,
Right.
because Riker's I mean, that's the thing. What a job, though. Your job is to go on the away missions and be expendable because the captain's too important.
Yeah,
You're just
exactly.
You're not. Because when you die, the fucking doctor will take over, or your counselor will take over command of the ship. So fuck you.
Right. Right.
Anyway. I mean, that's why Riker was kind of like a swashbuckler. If you think about it, it's like, I don't care what happens to me because I'm going to die anyway, or I'm not. But meanwhile, I'm going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and he ate that up because he's like, no, Captain, you can't go down there. I'm going to go do it. And he's like,
I'm
well,
going to
all
go.
right. Yeah,
I'm going to go. Although Picard managed to get on plans occasionally, but
sure. But yeah,
that
no,
always
I
made me-
think.
that's something I never thought about much when I was watching the original series when I was a kid. But later viewings, like, why would they send all the important people down to the planet? It's like the captain's there, the engineer, the doctor,
All of the
everyone,
key,
Spock.
yeah, all the key
I mean, I know.
positions on the ship are all in one place
Yeah.
in danger. Wait, that
At least
doesn't
leave
seem right.
Scotty behind or freaking Sulu behind or somebody. It's like, I know you got to bring all the main cast on the away missions or whatever because that's the show. But it's like, why would you, from a practical standpoint, what
except
a
for the
fucking
episodes-
dumb thing to do?
Where it was like, oh, it's Kirk and Spock and like 8 red shirts that have no names. It's like, well, so
Exactly.
Kirk and Spock are the only 2 coming back from this. You realize that, right?
I always remember there was some red shirts. There was, oh God, what was his name? There was that same red shirt who showed up in several episodes. I think he ended up dying eventually. But
Right.
and then there was like Styles. There was always a Styles, and there
Oh
was a guy
yeah, yeah,
in the Jeffries tube who would always go in the Jeffries tube and then die. So I
yeah,
can't remember all the. I
yeah.
know the red shirts had names. I'm sure they did, but anyway.
Occasionally they had a different shirt than red and they died, but still, it was
But it's just
you
so
know
funny that spawned an entire thing. It's like all over their red shirts because they're gonna die. And I love the fact that Abrams, whatever you want to talk about J.J. Abrams Star Trek, there was guys with red shirts.
exactly.
And when they went in that thing, when they're gonna parachute down to that Klingon thing or whatever, there was a guy with the red shirt. That guy's gonna carry the explosives. He's gonna die. He's dead. He's just
Well,
dead.
and
Anyway,
I always thought it was kind of funny that that was a joke with the original series and continued, and then for Next Generation they made all the command people in red shirts, including the captain. I'm like, all right, that's kind of funny in a way. I don't know if they consciously did that, but it's like, okay, we're going to play against type a little bit. See, red shirts aren't expendable anymore. It was just the gold shirts at that point. So,
right. It can happen to anyone. No one is safe.
right,
Yeah, that
right.
was funny. That was funny. You're right. They did everyone get red. Okay, so here's some red shirt names: Crewman Grant, Hortifodder, which I think is a great one. Crewman Hendorf, Lieutenant Mallory, Engineer Olson, Crewman Compton,
Nice.
Yeoman Thompson.
Hendorf
Those are all some red shirt names.
was the cupcake guy because I think he was in all three movies and at some point, but he was the one that
Yeah,
got into the fight with Kirk in the bar in the first movie, and Kirk called
right.
him Cupcake, and then he got his comeuppance later.
And there was Ensign. Okay, so here we Ensign O'Hurley in the show in the episode Arena. He gets killed, and then Crewman Grant in Friday's Child. He dies. Um, Hortifodder. I love. I love that name.
Hortifodder.
There's a website that's devoted to this. It's like
Nice.
such disrespect. This dude doesn't even have a name, and he's killed by a roving blob of half-digested lasagna. I love that. That's so funny. And Herndorf was the guy on the Apple. He breathes that stuff that goes into his
Oh,
killer's
interesting,
whatever.
because Herndorf was the red shirt in the Abrams movies that I was just talking about. So
No, that was Mallory who was the red shirt in the Abrams movie. Because
no,
he's
no,
the guy who
no.
does the parachute thing. Mallory was the guy who carries the explosives when they're
Yeah,
going down
him.
in the first
But
Star Trek movie.
there
Yeah.
was a red shirt Herndorf, and that's who Kurt got in the fight with in the bar before he joined
Right, right, right,
Starfleet.
right,
And he
right.
shows up, and he's like the red shirt that lives because he shows up in the other two movies as well, even though
Yeah.
it's like quick scenes. But uh, yeah.
Anyway,
So
it's just
anyway,
funny.
Star Trek is great, but
Anyway, there's a Star Trek website, StarTrek.com. They have one Trek Mind red shirts. So there's like 30
nice.
red shirts. And then Sam in Charlie X. Remember Charlie's fighting that guy and the
Oh
guy's like
yeah,
laughing,
yeah,
don't laugh at me. And he like wishes him to the cornfield. So you don't really know
yes,
what happens to him. But
yeah.
but I love the fact that there's a website that's devoted to finding all the red shirts. That's awesome. So
So at any
anyway,
rate, I hope that's the way they go with Tarka. I hope they don't do the thing where he screws up everything and then ends up getting killed or sacrifices himself. I'd like to think that he's learned enough
oh
from
yeah.
them that he does the right thing at the end, and then like we said, Book is like, hey, I'll help. Don't worry about it. I'm going to help you get home, and that's the reason why he has to leave the show. He's like, hey, we're going to go do this thing, and maybe we'll see you around, kind of thing.
Well,
So
they need more shows, right? They're doing more Star Trek
yeah,
shows. Sean Doyle is a known guy. I mean, he was on The Expanse, right? So, and he's
that's
done a lot
right.
of things. So he's known in the sci-fi world, and he's a great actor, I think, and he's doing a great job with Tarka. And he and Book, I think, have a good relationship in the
I'd
show.
watch that show.
I
Yeah.
would watch that show too. I would absolutely watch that show. I mean, two guys and a cat. I mean, who doesn't love that? So,
Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
we've talked about Star Trek a lot more than we thought we were going to, but that's okay because
We
we
did.
haven't been talking about Discovery at all, really, which is I think doing it a disservice. This season is quite good, as
Yes.
all the seasons are, and I'm sure we will get more Star Trek soon. I know that my new favorite show is going to be debuting next month. I think it is. When is?
May.
Oh
Beginning of May
May.
for Strange New Worlds. Yes.
I don't know, man. That's too long. It's just start now.
Just give us
Why are
all
they
the
making us
shows
wait?
right now.
Why are they making us wait so long? And
I know.
I'll be the first one to say that I was skeptical about Ethan Peck as Spock, but I think he does a really good job as Spock,
Oh, he
as
does
young Spock. So
fantastic job. Yeah.
yeah, he's not doing Nimoy, but he's kind of like evoking Spock instead of doing an impersonation, which I'm sure is part of his intent as an actor. But I think he's doing a good job, and of course, Rebecca Romaine is number one. I always like her. So
Well, and
it's going
Anson
to be
Mount
and
is
Anson Mount, of course.
amazing too.
Well,
So yeah.
I thought that goes without saying that Anson Mount
Well,
is
yeah,
awesome.
you're
So,
probably right.
but
Yeah.
we'll say it again. Anson Mount is awesome, and you
Yes.
know he's already going to be a great Pike because he already was a great Pike before. So,
Exactly. So
anywho, my other bit of the thing that I thought was really cool is because you and I have talked about the movie I Am Legend several times. I know,
yes,
but now it looks
yes.
like we're going to get a sequel to I Am Legend with Will Smith. Not sure how that's going to work, and Michael B. Jordan, which I think is awesome. So, because if I remember my I Am Legend movie correctly, I'm pretty sure Will Smith dies at the end of that one.
I
Although you
that's
never
what
see a
I
body,
thought. That's
so
true.
you
I
never
mean
know. You never
that
see
was
a
like
charred body.
came out of left field. It felt like because I did not. I mean, it did well, but I was not thinking they were trying to make a sequel. And it's been a few years, but surprise,
Yeah.
surprise. But I will say, a movie with Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan, I'm in. I will totally watch that.
Well, it's cool because Will Smith, I think, is a great actor and a great celebrity in general, and he just got nominated for an Academy Award. Um,
Yes.
and I think he's just got a lot of things going on. And I think he always liked that character and that movie, and so he wants to make another one. How much of a he'll actually be in it, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a case of Michael B. Jordan is the star of the movie, and he's going to be watching, all those videos that Will Smith's character made during the first movie.
Yes.
This is Tess, blah blah blah, from whatever. I mean, I can't imagine they could bring him back because he did blow up. So,
Or maybe
but
he's
I'm not.
Michael B. Jordan's character's imaginary friend. That's who he talks
Wow.
to, and they have him appear. I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah, I don't
I mean, I'm
know
not
how
sure.
they do
The
that.
deals are the deals are apparently done. Akiva Goldsman is writing the script, and
Right?
and
Yeah.
will they get Francis Lawrence to come back and direct? I don't know. I would watch that, but I think it's cool. I've always, like I said, I've always liked that movie, and I like the story it's based on, and I like the Omega Man because that was one of the movies I watched as a kid, which is a weird movie to watch as a kid. I know, but I
I
was always a
watched
big
all
Charlton
those.
Heston.
Yeah.
I was a Charlton Heston fan as a kid, and I mean, I didn't know anything about the NRA and shit back then, so I just thought he was cool, which is
Yeah.
why I guess Neville has so many guns in the movie because Charlton Heston loved guns.
There you go.
But I guess if you're fighting mutants, after a plague, you probably would have a lot of guns and sit up in your big
You might.
tower. But anyway, it's so a product of its times, though. I mean, he gets like at the end, he's like dies on the cross, basically, in the thing with a spear stuck through him, just like Jesus.
Yes.
So anyway, it's one of those things. But yeah, I'm in. Show me, let's see what happens. I will watch. I will watch. I will watch
So
almost anything, I guess is what the truth is. I'll give it a chance. So
so there is. So maybe this is how they do it because there was an alternate ending on the DVD of I Am Legend where he lives. So maybe that is how they. I don't know.
right, he goes in the secret door or the escape hatch
Yeah.
when he blows up something, or yeah,
Yeah.
no, I remember the alternate ending where he lives, but I thought that, I mean,
But that
the
wasn't
version
in
that
the
gets
movie
released in the
everyone
theaters,
saw. Yeah.
isn't
So
that the sort of definitive version of the story? Because Neville
you would think.
sacrifices himself, much like
Right.
Jesus,
Right.
to
Right.
save everybody. So I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say, well, luckily, whatever. He got bit
Thank
at the
God for
last
that
minute and
hatch. Yeah.
thank God for that escape hatch, or
Yeah.
whatever. Let's just forget about the first movie. Who cares? We got
Yeah.
Will Smith. Do you guys know we got Will Smith in this
And
movie?
Michael B. Jordan. I mean, it's
Michael B.
fine. It'll be
Jordan.
great.
It's going to be great. Yeah, it's going to be great. So I really think, though, it'll be a case of Will Smith is going to be, on the computer, or is going to be a voice, or he's going to be. I think
Or
it's
a
going to be more Michael B.
hallucination
Jordan.
or something. Yeah.
Or there'll be flashbacks, or it'll be a story that takes place before the ending of the original. I mean, they could do that too, where it's another
Yeah, they
thing
could.
never met, and it never gets referenced in the first movie, but whatever. Um, but if he survived, where is he? He doesn't go to the camp, so they drive
Well,
up
we should
alone.
watch the movie. You'll see. So
I guess so. He's actually in the back asleep. You just don't see him. He's sleeping in the back seat.
yeah,
Under a
that's the big
blanket.
reveal.
Under a,
They'll
under a blanket
reshoot
that
that
pops up
ending
goes,
and
"Hello,
they'll reveal he's there.
surprise!"
Yeah,
He's been there the whole time.
The
I
whole
don't know.
time. Yes.
It was Will Smith character all along. So I mean, you could do an I Am Legend or whatever without Robert Neville, but I don't know.
It was
I feel like it was a
Neville all
standalone movie,
along.
but it was
It's
Neville all
Neville
along.
all along. Yeah.
So I'm also interested. This is another thing I was going to mention. I'm also interested in anything that has to do with Alien because I'm an Alien fan.
Oh yeah, new
So
Alien
they're going
movie
to do a new Alien movie on
and
Hulu,
TV
directed by Fede
series.
Alvarez. Who, well, the series was already happening
Yeah,
with what's his face, Noah Hawley. That's right.
that's
He's
right.
doing he's doing the Alien show for FX, which is all part of Fox, which of course Hulu owns, but Disney owns everything now. So they're doing another Hulu movie, another Alien movie, a standalone film, which doesn't have
Yeah,
anything to do with the Alien franchise. Apparently, it's a totally separate story. Um, and then of course the Alien series takes place on Earth, so it's Earth fighting. We're fighting the alien invasion or whatever. I don't know. I'll watch it because Noah Hawley does great work. I think he's doing great work with Fargo, and many other things which I've enjoyed. So, what was the Marvel show that he did that was so fucking cool? God damn it,
Noah Hawley. Oh, Legion.
Legion.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
so
Legion.
yeah, I've been a fan since Legion, which I thought was a great show.
Yeah,
Which which is like a weird take on superheroes. If you haven't watched it, it's definitely worth watching. So I think he'll do a great job with an Alien show. And I like Alien, and I've always liked
yeah.
Alien, and so
I will
let's
totally watch Alvarez's Alien movie too because I don't know
yeah.
this is one of those things everyone's like, oh, you know, it's been terrible and all that. I just I don't know. I like all the movies and I will watch anything new within that universe just because I don't
Yeah,
know.
why
I just
not?
like it. You know, why not? Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, why not do it and why not give it a chance? I guess that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You should give things a chance, even if
Right.
they're terrible. At least watch the first 15 minutes or watch the first half hour or watch the first episode. Like my barometer for this is Why the Last Man, strangely enough on Hulu.
There you go.
We watched it for a while. We didn't just give up after the first episode. We didn't just say
Right.
this is bullshit and throw in the towel. We tried to hang in there. And
Yep.
I mean, partially it's out of respect for the process, and because I don't like to just summarily judge something immediately. I don't know if there's anything. I mean, I think I've only walked out of two movies in my entire life, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
same here. I don't think yeah. There
One
there's
of them,
been ones that
yeah, go
I've
ahead.
watched at home that I've stopped watching. I can't I know I have walked out of a movie, but I don't I can't tell you what it
I
is.
know
And
I did. I think it was
I
more when I
tend
was
not to do
younger.
that. Yeah, even if it's really bad, it's like, well, you know, out of respect to everybody involved, it's like I'm going to watch the movie. I tend, like I said, I tend if it's like at home and I've rented it or watching it on a streaming service or something, I'm more inclined to go. Yeah, you know, I still give it like 15-20 minutes or so, and there's been times like it's not really for me, and I'll stop watching. But I feel like that's disrespectful to do in a theater, even though none of the people making it can see me. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Right? Yeah, the people are
um,
judging you when you leave. They're like, "Oh, why is that guy leaving?" That guy, or
right.
maybe he knows something we don't know. I can remember one of them. One of them was called Invaders from Mars, the Tobe Hooper movie from
Okay.
like 1986 or something like that. We went and saw that, and I was like, "This is dumb," and we left. And it was dumb. Um, and so I remember leaving that one. That was pretty distinctive. And I did step out of the theater for a minute when I saw American Werewolf in London the first time, and I went out to
Right.
the lobby to get a drink because it was
Oh, well,
super. I don't know. You remember it was super violent
yeah.
and
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
bloody. So I needed a second, and that was before because I shouldn't have been watching that movie at my age. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out and get a Coke or something, and I came back in. I think it was the scene when the werewolf is loose on the streets, is like biting people, and the double decker bus like skids out and shit. I was watching that, and like people are getting crushed. I'm like, okay, I need a minute. So I don't know. I was an impressionable kid. Now that I'm like that seems tame, of course, but
Yeah.
back then
I
it was
will
a
say
lot.
I'm more inclined nowadays, being older, that even if it's like in a genre that I'm interested in, if something is like, well, there's nobody in it I'm interested in seeing, the story doesn't sound interesting to me, I don't know who the writer or director is, maybe I won't watch that. I'm more inclined to go, well, maybe I'll skip that. And occasionally there's been times where people are like, dude, you really need to see this without like giving the story away. And then I've watched it and it's like, oh, yeah, it turns out pretty good. But yeah, I don't. I don't know. I don't sit there and go, "Oh, another Alien movie. This is going to suck. I'm going to totally watch that so I can trash that." I just don't get that mentality. So you're
Well,
not
yeah, we talked
interested
about
in
it a
it,
lot.
and yeah, you don't think you're going to like it. Don't watch it. There's
Well,
so many
we're not
movies
hate
and
watchers.
so many series out there.
Yeah.
So
Well, and you can
anyway,
go back and watch the things you do like, as we always talk
yeah,
about. You don't have to watch something if you don't. And that's the thing. There is a lot of content, and if you don't like something, then don't bother. But
yeah,
maybe give things a chance. You might be surprised. I mean, there's been situations where I've been like, "Nah, I don't know," and then I watch it. I'm like, "Oh, this is better than I thought," and and you're surprised. And that's more often than not the case for me, at least, where I'm
yeah.
pleasantly surprised rather than disappointed. Although sometimes I'm like, okay, that's about what I thought it was going to be, and I don't think anything's a waste
No,
necessarily.
no.
So, but I mean, because I stay at home a lot, so it's fine. But anyway, I like I'll watch Aliens. I'll watch an Alien series. I'll watch whatever, and I give it all a chance. Should we go to picks
Yeah,
now?
let's do some picks. Yeah.
Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go first only because I know it's going to completely annoy you. So
Is it
I
is it
am.
is it no Marillions
It
new
is.
album? No, okay.
I am going to
Of
pick
course
the
it is.
new Marillion album that just came out. It's
You
called
should.
An Hour Before It's Dark. It is. Thankfully, this album is getting lauded by the music press as not just the finest album they've ever made, but just an incredible musical achievement.
Wow.
So
Now I
it's
might have to listen to
yeah,
it.
it's a pretty amazing album. It speaks a lot to things that were going on during the pandemic and response to COVID. So trigger warning. But at the same time, it's also a really joyful album. It's just I have a hard time describing Marillion in general, much less their music. But it's an amazing album. It's on all the music services. It's already got over 1 million streams on Spotify, and it just came out. It's only been out a day,
Nice.
so it's
Nice.
It's getting a lot of attention, not just for the band, but for music in general, which is great. So it's amazing as a fan, and having been a fan for too many years than I
Many
care to
years.
admit. For it's just it is. I don't. I'm not one of those that are like, oh, this is better than this album by them, or this is their best album ever. But it's because I don't think in that way. I like all their music, so but it is an extraordinary album. It's pretty great. So
Cool.
I'll stop gushing about it. But Marillion, An
No, it's
Hour
okay.
Before It's Dark, go check it out. It's amazing. You'll love it. So there you go.
That's cool. I have Marillion on my playlist that I was going to listen to, and I'm going to do it now. Not right
Cool.
now, this second, but I will, because you talk about them a lot, and I feel like I should give them a chance because you're such a
Yeah.
fan and you talk about them so much. So I'll give it a chance. And then
I
I joke about your pick, but I knew that was coming because I knew the album came
mean,
out actually. So
yes. Well, people's
like,
musical
oh,
tastes
Joe's gonna pick.
obviously widely vary, and I mean,
Well, it's
it's.
subjective, yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with like what we were just talking about with movies and TV. It's like give something a chance. You might find something new and interesting that you're up for. So if you're a Marillion fan, I assure you that this is essential and you will love it. If you are a
Hmm.
music fan and you've never listened to Marillion, I would encourage you to give it a chance. And if you like that, they have 19 previous albums for you to explore too. So,
Wow,
yep.
they're not fucking around.
No, they keep making new music. I know there's a lot of bands that are like, oh, we're going to keep touring with the same songs, and there's no money in making albums. But they are essentially entirely fan supported. They do record sales of when they do pre-orders for their albums, and their fans basically keep them going, and they keep making new music, and it's awesome. So check them out if
That's
you
cool.
haven't already. If you have, you're in for a treat. So
You're in for a treat. Excellent,
yeah,
excellent pick. I'm not gonna break any new ground here because I'm pretty sure I picked this before. My pick is a movie directed by Sam Peckinpah from 1969 called The Wild Bunch, which I
that's
just
a Excellent
watched.
movie.
I revisit the Wild Bunch frequently, and I just watched it again. So I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I've talked about it enough lately or at all lately. So I figured it was time to bring the Wild Bunch up again and discuss it. It's basically the story is it's about an aging outlaw gang in 1913 who basically are seeing the transition from their old way of life as gangsters and outlaws to sort of a newer, higher tech way of life. I mean, it's kind of weird in the movie because they've got like automatic pistols, like 1911s, which didn't exist in the Old West. But they also got like revolvers and stuff. But the thing that was really sort of controversial and groundbreaking at the same time for this film was the way that violence and the way it was shot, the way Peckinpah shot it, and the way it's edited with some slow mo and like jump cuts, and it's all this stuff that no one was really doing before this, and it was very influential to filmmakers in general, and still continues to be influential because it really depicts the sort of the chaos of the violence, and yeah, there's blood splattering everywhere. And whatever, and then the final shootout is like a gore fest of blood and squibs going everywhere. I mean, it looks really fake, especially these days, because blood is
Right.
not really that color.
Yeah.
But it's such a great movie and such great characters. And the other one of the other reasons it was controversial was you have this gang of outlaws, and none of them are good guys. They're all kind of like self-serving, crude assholes for the most part, and they don't really redeemable in that sense. And people were criticizing the film for that because like how can we root for any of these people? I'm like, well, you're not really supposed to root for them. They're kind of anti-heroes. They have a
Right.
code,
Right.
but they're not good
Yeah.
guys. You know, they're not good
Yeah.
guys. And the main character, William Holden's character, it's got William Holden and Ernest Borgnine and Warren Oates and Robert Ryan and a bunch of other people who are all excellent. But William Holden's character, Pike Bishop, is is a really interesting character because he's racked by guilt. Basically, he has always felt like you don't give up on somebody if you give your word to a person. If you ride with them, they're your buddy, and you help them and you protect them and whatever. But he's guilty of leaving someone behind back in the day, who ends up being a character that's pursuing him, working for the railroad to try to catch these guys. Robert Ryan's character, and
Yeah.
it's just the whole thing about that. And he feels, and some people have made comments like, well, obviously Bishop's character has a death wish, which he kind of does in a little way because he feels just incredible guilt for leaving people behind, which is the main reason they kind of, spoilers, all die in the movie
Right. Right.
because they can't leave Angel behind, right?
Right.
And so
Exactly.
they won't leave a man behind this time. So they go for the final shootout. I mean, the movie's been around since 1969, so I'm not really spoiling it, I don't think. But they all go out in a hail of bullets, man. Everybody dies.
Pretty much.
It's
Yep.
fucking amazing. So, um, anyway, if you've never seen The Wild Bunch, and I hate to spoil it for you, I apologize, but it is sort of a masterclass in action filmmaking because a lot of people still are influenced by it. And I bet if you ask 10 directors who are known for their action, 9 of them would say, I love The Wild Bunch because of the way it was shot
Yes.
and the way Peckinpah did it. But it's also really good characters and amazing acting. I mean, William Holden is always has been a huge actor that I've always admired and liked. Ernest Borgnine, always great. Warren Oates, always fantastic. Robert Ryan, great in the movie. Robert Ryan kind of got the short shaft a little bit in his career. He kind of
Yes.
played sort of bad guys, but he was like a really nice guy in real life. And he
Right.
ended up playing heavies because he was like a really tall, but sort of brooding Irish dude. But he's great. That's the thing. You have all these guys who were just like not classical, sort of like super attractive dudes, except maybe Holden, but they're like all playing these really gritty sort of characters, which you totally get into. So it's an amazing film. One of my favorite, I think, westerns of all time. In fact, according to the American Film Institute, it's the 6th best western of all time. So there you
Well,
go.
there you go. Yep.
Anyway, so my
I
my
I
uh, my pick is Wild Bunch.
I think it's an essential movie for fans of films, but I think most essentially, it should be like on a list of recommended movies for anyone that wants to make movies because, like you said, it's just like
Wow.
I don't know, it's amazing, and I think it's telling that there have been attempts or at least word over the years that there were going to be remakes of it, and none of them have really ever come to fruition. So I wonder if it's like they get into it and it's like, yeah, we can't remake this. You know,
You could
so
make.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
you could make the case that it's like Dirty Dozen or it's like Kurosawa or Seven Samurai or whatever, that kind of stuff. But I would say as far as influential films go, this is one of the most influential. Because the other thing to keep in mind is it came out in 1969, and one of the main things that was
Yes.
going on in 1969 was Vietnam, and
Right. Right.
also up to that point, all of the westerns, all of the movies, and the TV shows had a real sanitized version of violence and a real sanitized version of conflict and all that stuff. But then during Vietnam, they were on the news showing actual footage of the war and people, this horrible violence. And
Yes.
Peckinpah's intent, I think, at the time, which he said later was maybe a mistake, was to put so much violence in the movie that people would be disgusted by it, and maybe it's like an anti-war film in a way. It's like this is horrible. Look what's happening. You should
Yes.
you should be disgusted by this and not want to be violent and not want to kill people. But unfortunately, and he even admitted it later that it kind of backfired. People like totally got into it, which was disappointing to him. So
Yeah, because he did not romanticize it or glorify it at all. And but like you
no,
said,
it's
some
supposed
people
to
are
look as
like,
bad as
yeah,
possible. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's supposed to look as bad as possible, and yet it comes across, I mean, I hate to say it, but it comes across kind of looking cool. And
yeah,
part of that is the way it's done, the way it's
yeah,
presented. It's presented in a way to make it visually interesting, which nobody was doing back then. Jump cuts and slow mo and all this stuff is just nobody did that, and it's just so influential in so many ways. If you want to know you know anything about shooting action or editing movies or anything, and just characterization and the use of long lenses to like compress, it's just all this kind
yeah,
of camera tricks that people take for granted now, but he was one of the first people to ever do it, and is an influence to this day. So it's
yep,
one of those cool, and I love westerns in general, so this is one of my favorites. I even have a
yeah. Me
poster of it
too.
on my wall. You can't really see it, but anyway.
Nice,
So the Wild Bunch. I either
excellent.
lead this bunch or end it right now. Anyway, so find the Flickcast at Spotify and at Apple Podcasts and all the other places you find podcasts. And you can find Joe and I on the socials. Joe is at What Joe Writes. I am at Chris U on Twitter, and then Insta. I'm Ulrich Pix. And then of course the Flickcast is the Flickcast. We're on Instagram and YouTube and all the places you want to find places. You could also go to our link tree, which is linktr.ee/the Flickcast. Linktree, I mean, if you're familiar, if you know, you know, and you just
You
go
know,
there, and that has
yeah,
all of our links to everything. I've got one
yeah.
too for myself, and you can find all my links, which I don't know if you really want to, but it's fun. And you can find us at the Discord collaboration we're doing with Whiskey and Waffles, and you can find me on Twitch on Sunday nights playing D and
We're
D, and
we're
you can
all over
find
the place. You
Joe.
have no
We're
excuse
all over the
not
place.
to
We have no
find
excuse
us.
not to. Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you like the show, please rate or review it, or even just make a nice comment and all that stuff. And we also have a
yeah,
Patreon, patreon.com/theflickcast, if you want to throw the show a few bucks and support us in that way. That would be cool. But ratings and reviews are fine. Comments are fine. Whatever you got time for is cool. We appreciate you.
that's
Thank you.
right.
So, anything else, Joe?
I think that's
All right.
probably it.
Well, that is it. So for Joe Dilworth, I am Chris Ulrich. That was the Flickcast. Thanks so much.